guidance. Help us, Lord, that whatever we discuss here this morning may be to the benefit of all of us, the benefit of all Jamaicans. These and other mercies we ask in your name. Amen.
Any apology for absence?
So pretty much everyone else here.
All right, we have an apology from member Natalie Nita Garvey, who had previously confirmed that she would have attended, but is unable to do so.
I was thinking we can do it for the remainder. Oh, Lee's here. We just said that. So I guess we can set up her, please.
You got an apology from her? There
No,
is none.
yes.
Yes. Right.
Um,
All right. Other members had indicated their availability for today's meeting, but we have not yet seen everyone. This is the second meeting of this committee, and I want to extend a warm welcome to members, especially after the Easter break. I hope that the season has allowed for good reflection on purpose, redemption, and other things. I think that in the past, the committee focused almost primarily on dealing with exemption motions sent to it from the House. And those motions in the past have been dealt with in camera. So this may be the first time in a long time that the Ethics Committee of the House is sitting in open. The duties are set out in the standing orders, and we will have a lot of work before us to do. I anticipate that transition phase that we're in of abiding by the standing orders, honoring them in observance rather than in breach, will bring some shifts. And I hope that we are all up to the task. We have the minutes of the meeting held on February 4, 2026 for correction and confirmation. Page 1. Page 1 reflects attendance. Please check that names are correctly spelled. I am proposing an amendment at paragraph 4 to substitute the word treat with deal. Indicated that the committee had been used almost exclusively to deal with exemption motions. Any other correction to page 1? If there is none, then can we confirm page 1 as corrected? We go to page 2. I'd like to suggest that register of interest be capitalized. In the ultimate paragraph, it appears twice. Any other correction proposed for page 2? If none, we can confirm as corrected and move to page 3. At the 5th paragraph, I'm proposing that we insert the word operating for the sentence to read, stated that the committee was operating in new territory. Any other correction proposed for page 3? If not, we go to page 4. Any correction to page 4? If no correction, then we can confirm and go to page 5. For members who were present, my recollection is that the reference to the University of the West Indies was really the University of the West Indies Hospital. Is that, yes? Right. So we would, right, have that corrected to read the University of the West Indies Hospital. Okay, the University Hospital of the West Indies. But I think he said University of the West Indies Hospital, not the way that we properly know it. Yes. Yes. Right.
Once the committee is suggesting this, I'll just do that.
Very well. All right. So I think it would be a reference to the hospital, right? So we would put in parentheses referencing the hospital. Yes. So the correction would be, he stated that the University of the West Indies, referencing the hospital in bracket, had not. All right. Any other correction to page 5? All right, as corrected, we go to page 6. If there is no correction proposed for page 6, can we move for the confirmation of the minutes as corrected? Very well. Seconded by? Seconded by Member Whittle. Matters arising from the minutes. Just a minute.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, Chair. Just looking at the minutes, I think there might be some new information regarding the Auditor General's report, and based on those reports and what was tabled in the Parliament, we may have to bring back ask a member to return to the committee. Just looking at what is before us and what has been revealed in some information that we received from the PAC meeting last week.
Other members? So, on the last occasion, the committee dealt with exemption motions that were referred to from the House. And the members directly impacted by those motions appeared before this committee. A matter arose in respect of what was in the public domain, arising from a report of the Auditor General, which was tabled in the Parliament. And since then, further information has been disclosed, which has a direct impact on matters discussed in the last meeting of the committee. And you're saying, Member Cuthbert Flynn, that you believe it would be appropriate for the member to be asked back to this committee, for the committee to interrogate the matter and seek some clarification on the responses. Other members?
My issue, though, is that if permission was granted for the member to be exempted for his company, can we retroactively go back on that? I'm not sure if it is legally correct for us to go back, to bring back the issue.
Valid concern. At the end of the last meeting, based on the responses that were given by the member, I think the committee made a certain recommendation which was acted on by the House. What I understand Member Cuthbert Flynn to have said was that it appears that there is discrepancy and inaccuracy in those responses given. So,
I understand. I understand that, but I don't know if the committee can reverse a decision that was made by the House itself.
So it would be a matter that would have to go before the House. Right. So Member Lee, you.
Well, Chair, I think Member Witter has raised a very valid concern.
Yes.
Where that is concerned. So I'll be guided by what exists. If it's a case where we can, as requested, then I will be for it. But I would like to get clarity on that as well.
Yes.
At this point.
So the matter that has arisen is whether the information, the answers provided by the member was correct in light of subsequent information that is in the public domain. That is the issue. And if the committee's recommendation to the House was also based on the responses provided by the member, and then there may be a need for some clarification. The committee would not be taking a decision. The committee would have to, first of all, invite back the member so that we can seek some clarification, and the matter would have to be referred to the House, perhaps by way of report and anything else. So at this stage, it's not really a decision to reverse the recommendation that was made, but to interrogate it in light of subsequent development. I think that is the highest we could go at this stage.
Yes, I think that is a valid approach, but also I think maybe we could seek some clarification from the Attorney General. I don't know. Since that you used in your comment, you said may.
Well,
so
I don't know that there is any need for legal advice if we're saying that the minutes reflect a certain responses, and subsequent to that, information in the public domain would be contradicting the responses. I don't know that that is a matter that requires legal advice, member. It would be a matter requiring clarification from the member who is in fact impacted. I don't believe that you take any decision against anyone without hearing from them. That is a basic rule of natural justice.
I understand.
Right. So
I understand.
This chair would not require legal advice on that matter. So the issue that has arisen is the accuracy of the responses provided by the member in light of subsequent revelation in the public domain.
I understand.
Right.
Clear.
So that is not a legal matter. That's a factual matter. Yes. All right. Member Cuthbert Flynn, yes.
I just want to add, I know that there's not much that we can reveal due to the nature of the first meeting that we had. And so I was very cautious in how I made my statement. Again, just after reading over the minutes and what is stated in the minutes, and then what has been revealed after the fact, after the exemption was granted, I now would want to possibly have more interrogation on what was stated in the minutes and some clarification.
Let's be clear. Let's be clear. This committee has the duty, all right, of receiving investigation and reporting on any complaints of departures by members in relation to allegations involving conflicts of interest. Right? Yes. And also requiring a member to make full disclosure of any interest which he may have which is likely to cause a conflict of interest. That is, yes. Yes. All right. So on this matter that has arisen, the recommendation would be to require the member to return to the committee for clarification. Very well. Just a minute. All right, so I'm just looking on the standing orders relating to bringing someone before the committee. So if we're to summon any witnesses, the committee shall supply the name, residence, occupation of every such, the chairman of every such witness to the clerk of the Parliament at least 7 days before his evidence is required. Clerk shall then, subject to the discretion of the Speaker, summon every such witness on behalf of the House. I believe this is the standing order that would be relevant. Right. So the decision of the committee, the recommendation of the committee, is that the member in question be summoned to appear before the committee at the next meeting and in accordance with the standing orders. Yes? All right. So, again, just for summary, the accuracy of information provided by the member in question, as recorded in the minutes, has been called into question in light of subsequent publication in the public domain, and the member is therefore being asked to return to the committee to provide clarification on the answers given. Any other matter arising? All right, so one of the matters arising is also a matter for discussion, and that is the functions of the committee and what steps we will have to take to establish the register of interest and to deal with other reports and matters that may be before other committees of the Parliament. So if there is no other matter arising, then we can move to agenda item number 7, matters for discussion. The first, so the duty of the committee set out at Standing Order 73E(b) is requiring a member to make full disclosure of any interest which he may have, which is likely to cause a conflict of interest. I have checked, and I don't know, Committee Clerk, if you can assist, whether a register of interest has ever been established in the Parliament of Jamaica since the creation of the Ethics Committee. Right. All right, colleagues. At the last meeting, I indicated that if we are to observe the standing orders, it's going to really take us in territory that we have not fully operated in the past. The functions of the committee says receiving, investigating, and reporting on any complaints of departure by members from the political code of conduct. Tell me, what are your thoughts on this duty? Right now, the political code of conduct where are we with the political code of conduct? Yes. Yes.
That is my question to you, Madam Chair.
This is a matter that is not without controversy, because the Integrity Commission is tasked with establishing codes of conduct, and we know that there are reports of the code of conduct not being signed by members of the House, all members of the House. We also should know that the code essentially reflects the 7 principles of public life, which was adopted in this jurisdiction. But how do we receive, investigate, and report on complaints of departure from the code of conduct if the code of conduct is not signed? What are your thoughts? Member Lee?
If the code of conduct is not signed, Madam, well, I'm thinking in this case we may have to revisit why are the reasons why the code of conduct was not signed by those members? Clearly, there are concerns. And I mean, we would have a new set of parliamentarians coming in, because I'm thinking that was before the last general elections. And I think those members would have to also be new members would have to be brought up to speed in terms of what the code entails, the explanations would have to be given to them, and a full breakdown. And we could also possibly look at an entire re-engagement with all parliamentarians on the code, and then perhaps have the concerns discussed for both new parliamentarians coming in that would need to sign the code, and for those who previously were in Parliament that did not sign. And then we could ventilate from that matter, because obviously there are some issues surrounding why older members, meaning members who are not serving as first-term MPs, would have not signed. And in terms of what those issues are, I am not clear. But I would say if there are concerns, then we would need to have that discussion, as well as consider the new MPs.
Yes. Member Whittle?
I do agree with the observation made by Member Lee in terms of first thing to find out the reasons why members did not sign. And then from there we can make a determination as to how we move forward.
So what is clear is that if the code is not signed by members, then the committee would not be able to discharge its duty of receiving, investigating, and reporting on any complaints of departure by members from the code.
So, Madam Chair, does this mean what we mentioned earlier, that we would not be able to, bring anyone back to the committee meeting to discuss any matter? That there may be a departure from said code?
I think the committee would have to report to the House and inquire what is the status of the political code of conduct, and what are the reasons for the non-signature by members, and a discussion be had around that. But I think what currently obtains would make it difficult for the committee to discharge its duties unless the matter of the political code of conduct is interrogated. Yes? Member Lee, you're not. Please go on, Mike.
No, I was just trying to get some clarity, Chair, so it's a situation where unless everyone agrees to the code of conduct, then you're saying it cannot be applied to the committee.
Well, I think this is a matter that we will have to. This is a matter that we will have to discuss and seek some regularization around. What is the status of the political code of conduct? We know that let me just pull up. Just give me a minute. So just a minute. I'm coming. All right, so we know that Section 6(1)(g) of the Integrity Commission Act stipulates that the functions of the Commission shall be to prepare codes of conduct and other advisory material relating to corruption and guide public bodies in respect of matters within the purview of this Act. We also know that this Act has been under review for some time. Outside of the code of conduct for ministers, I believe that the only code that exists is the one that was prepared by the Integrity Commission. Right. Well, these are matters that we have to discuss as we are looking at the functions of the committee, because if we are to discharge our duties properly, then we will have to deal with the issues. Member Cuthbert-Flynn?
I just want to, well, I cannot remember if I've ever received such a document to sign.
All right, so in the public domain, we see I don't believe that anything has arisen in this new parliament in respect of the codes of conduct. But when I was researching, if you go to the Integrity Commission website, you would see some publication and clarification regarding Integrity Commission's Leadership Code of Conduct, clarification in one matter. I'm even named. So we really need some clarification around the codes of conduct. All right? So the committee would be recommending and reporting to the House. Let us formulate that recommendation. So the committee would be seeking clarification on the status of political code of conduct. Members? Yes? And the signing of codes by members, signing of the political code of conduct by all members of the House. Yes? Right. All right. So that is in respect of the first duty set out at paragraph A of the regulation. The second one is the full disclosure of any interest which a member may have, which is likely to cause the conflict of interest. So the disclosure has to be made somewhere and in a particular form. Other jurisdictions establish a register of interest. So the recommendation from the committee would be for the establishment of a register of interest in order for the full disclosure of any interest which is likely to cause a conflict of interest to be disclosed. Right? Receiving, investigating, and reporting on any complaints of departure by members in relation to allegations involving conflicts of interest. Now, complaints are sometimes made in the public domain and not formally to the Parliament. I am not aware of any set procedure in respect of how this duty would be discharged. I know when we had the first meeting, one of the concerns that was raised is how does a matter properly come before the committee? From my reading of the rules, not everything has to be referred to by way of resolution from the House. Certainly, exemption motions specifically have to come by way of resolution from the House to the committee. But there is no specification on how the other matters that may be of interest to the committee should be dealt with. So perhaps we could look at some rules around having matters formally before the committee. So we know that an issue of ethics may arise from a news report. It may arise from a report, whether the Auditor General's report, a report of the Integrity Commission. It may arise in other reports that come to the House from other committees. The other committees may discuss those matters from another angle, but an ethical consideration may arise, which may have to be taken up by this committee. So we may need to address our minds around how we would bring those matters to this committee for deliberation. Just a bit.
Yes, I think it is going to be difficult outside of the regular referral from...
Not hearing you clearly. Sorry.
Yes. I think it's going to be difficult in terms of how we determine how we receive these reports, because aside from receiving reports from the regular sitting of the House, then I don't see where we could otherwise, find a way to take this report at the Ethics Committee. So, for example, you mentioned the Integrity Commission report would come to Parliament, and then I think by way of Parliament debating the report that comes from the Integrity Commission, then they could make a referral, Parliament now, to the Ethics Committee if it has an issue relative to our...
The standing orders actually reference the reports of the Integrity Commission explicitly, because it says monitoring reports emanating from the Integrity Commission in respect of non-compliance of members with the provisions of the Integrity of Members, Parliament Integrity of Members Act. So once those matters, the reports of the Integrity Commission are tabled in the Parliament.
Right.
And so if a report raises an issue of non-compliance, then the duty of the committee to monitor that report would kick in respect of the member. Because at the end of the day, you want to ensure that the issue is addressed in a proper way that will, of course, maintain the integrity of the Parliament and the integrity of the member. So again, this is what I was referencing in the last meeting, that if we are to discharge the duty that is set out. It's taking us into new territory because we don't really have antecedents and examples in the past of how it has operated. Member Lee, you had your mic on? Sorry.
Yes, Madam. So I just following up on what Member Whittle mentioned a while ago pertaining to using the Integrity Commission reports as an example. And I hear what you're saying, that we have to look at the reports as part of our functions. However, I too am a little concerned about the overlapping.
Yes.
So I think it would be good for us to clarify then with the Parliament, once reports are tabled, specifically which portions that particular committee, the Integrity Commission committee, what's the proper name for that committee, right? So because we don't want the Ethics Committee to be writing back to the House with some, feedback, and then that committee is doing the same. So as long as we don't have overlaps.
But here's a further dilemma that we have, members. When the Integrity Commission Act was passed in 2017, it repealed the Parliament Integrity of Members Act, right? So that, and the standing orders refer to that. So, yes. So the provisions, the relevant provisions of the Parliament Integrity of Members Act were incorporated in the Integrity Commission Act. And Section 59 of the Integrity Commission Act explicitly provides for the repeal of the Parliament Integrity of Members Act. So this is what we have now, is a little lag in updating the standing orders to reflect what has taken place in the Parliament. So we also need to report back to the Parliament that the provisions of Standing Order 73EF need to be amended to reflect the repeal of the Parliament Integrity of Members Act by the Integrity Commission Act. And it does, it appears that law, the Integrity of Members Act, would have to be substituted with the Integrity Commission Act. So these are law revision matters that need to be done in a timely way. So two things arise from this discussion. One is that we have taken note that the standing order needs to be amended, to be updated, to reflect the repeal of the Parliament Integrity of Members Act and to substitute that act with the Integrity Commission Act, but also to seek some clarity on how this function is to be discharged, since we have an Integrity Commission oversight committee also. Although if you look on the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee's duty, they are cast in a slightly different way from what the Ethics Committee is mandated to do in monitoring non-compliance of members with the law. All right. In respect of examining requests by a member to exempt him by resolution of the House from vacating his seat, in light of the issue that has arisen, we may also need to get some clarification from the House or have the matter ventilated. If on consideration of a motion from exemption, the material before the committee was incomplete or inaccurate, how do we deal with a recommendation that has been adopted by the House on incomplete or inaccurate information? I think that is also another issue that we may have to report back to the House on. Well, Member Cuthbert-Flynn, the chair would like to benefit from your sidebar remarks. All right. So the other duty of the committee is to receive and investigate reports of civil or criminal proceedings being instituted against any member and making appropriate recommendations to the Speaker of the House. So right now, there is no way to know accurately proceedings that have been instituted against members. We don't know, and we can't always rely on reports in the news for accuracy. So it may require some form of disclosure by members where they become party to a civil or criminal suit. Remember, parliamentarians are in a very unique role. We are the ones who make the laws. We are the ones who pass the laws for peace, order, and good government. Every law that is passed is either done directly by the Parliament or the Parliament delegates the powers to someone else. But even the act of delegation is one that the Parliament itself has to take. And only persons who are members of Parliament can participate in the proceedings of Parliament. And whereas one is elected at the completion of an election, you can only participate in the proceedings of the House after you have taken and subscribed to the oath. And that oath is very clear. Very clear. So, if we are to know and if we are to receive and investigate reports, then this may require some disclosure, a formal mechanism where members would disclose suits that are proceedings that are filed against them, civil or criminal. I remember now, nobody has any control over what other people will do. And the filing of a suit doesn't automatically mean that it is of merit. So requiring a disclosure of suits is nothing prejudicial to anyone. That's why you have due process and matters go through a process before they're concluded on. But I can't see how we're going to receive and investigate on reports of civil or criminal proceedings being instituted against any member and making appropriate recommendations to the Speaker of the House if we don't have some mechanism of knowing. So either we can invite members of the public who are suing members to indicate to the House or to the Parliament, and then depending on what comes, we will see what is to be investigated. How do we receive those reports? That really is a dilemma, because there's currently no mechanism for so doing.
And then at what point would that member make such a report?
It would be after they are served. So for criminal proceedings, all criminal acts, generally speaking, are taken in the name of the state, the Rex against the Queen. And charges are laid, either you can be summoned before the court or a warrant for your arrest can be served on you and you appear before the court. So there are two ways, essentially. And the civil proceedings are inter partes proceedings, and you have to be served with those proceedings in order for you to respond to them.
No.
The standing order says the Ethics Committee shall have the duty of receiving and investigating any reports of civil or criminal proceedings being instituted against any member and making appropriate recommendations to the Speaker of the House.
As I'm saying, that is very vague, because receiving, but receiving from whom?
That's it. There's no mechanism in place.
Right.
So you would be receiving from members of the public? Would you be receiving from the member who is, in fact, a party to the proceedings? So these are things that we would have to clarify.
Yeah.
Left as is, it would be difficult for us to discharge the duties. So if we are saying that there are two options for receiving the report can be received either directly from the member who is the party to the proceedings, or from a member of the public or whomever, generally speaking. Because different matters may have different significance for the integrity of the membership in the House and the integrity of the Parliament itself.
Madam Chair, are we saying that this has never been established in the House for us to look at an example as to what obtained before? And this is a first time that we are trying to establish all that you have been saying? Is that what you're saying?
Member Cuthbert Flynn, essentially, I did research and I didn't see anything, and that was what led me to share at the last meeting how the committee came to be instituted. And you may recall, as is reflected in the minutes, that this committee was unanimously approved on the 17th of January 2006. And I think since then, I don't know, unfortunately, we don't always take the steps to put in what needs to be put in after laws are passed and after rules are made. It's something that is lacking in the jurisdiction. I've come across it in previous roles, and we had begun the process of regularizing those matters that now seem to be in abeyance. But yes, the work is before us. I haven't seen it. I don't know if the committee clerk is aware of any mechanism in place for this. Right. All right, we can ask for some research on the matter. Yes. Ms. Stewart, are you aware of any mechanism in place for the receiving of reports of civil or criminal proceedings instituted against any member?
I'm not currently aware of any mechanism that has currently been implemented, but just listening to the discussions, I'm thinking, for example, what if a member is a part of, for example, an ex parte notice where they are not served immediately, but let's say an injunction, a prohibitory, mandatory, whatever the nature of the injunction, and it is done by way of ex parte. What time frame would be given for example, notification of the Parliament when you have such a proceeding? Also, based on the nature of the matter, would disclosure be required immediately when service takes place or when, for example, an order is given? These are just some of the things I'm thinking about, since that, we don't have a particular outline as to what to follow. So we definitely need some rules and regulation in terms of how we approach this particular function to facilitate its execution by the committee. But I'm not currently aware of any that currently exist. maybe
Yes.
some research can be undertaken to provide some clarity or shed some light on the issue, but I don't think such a mechanism exists currently.
Yes, just thank you, Ms. Stewart. Just all right. Perhaps the committee could benefit from some research to see how it is done elsewhere, not just. So may we task the supporting staff? Yes. Yes. So we would task the supporting staff to the committee, including the Legislative Council, to look comparatively at what obtains in other jurisdictions where ethics committees are established, beginning, of course, with the UK and other Commonwealth jurisdictions. Right.
Specifically in regards to Standing Order 73EG or just generally?
Also with the Register of Interest, Political Code of Conduct, and in respect of, yes.
Oh.
Yes. Member Flynn, Cuthbert Flynn? Yeah?
No, actually, I was just saying I would want some sort of clarity and to look at other jurisdictions for all of the above, because, again, just by us sitting here and reviewing this, it seems as if nothing has ever been done, just looking at the standing order. And so I would want us to take a look at what others are doing in other jurisdictions to make sure that we are doing what is necessary.
Mm-hmm. Very well. So we know as a rule that in any matter not provided for in the standing orders, resort shall be had to the usage and practice of the Commons House of Parliament of Great Britain, which shall be followed as far as the same may be applicable to the House and not inconsistent with these standing orders, nor in the practice of the House. Right. Right. The other matter now that I'd like to have discussed is the report of the Auditor General. So generally, Auditor General's report, and we know that one report in particular has already been mentioned in the first meeting of the committee. and where a report from the Auditor General raises issues of conflict of interest or potential conflict of interest of a member, how do we bring it before the committee to discuss it? And we do have a current case that I believe should be discussed by this committee. And this is notwithstanding the fact that the matter is being discussed in other committees of the House. All right, so again, because we are in somewhat new territory, we know that the Public Accounts Committee, the PAC, has the duty of examining reports of the Auditor General in respect of accounts. So it has the duty of examining the accounts showing the appropriation of sums granted by the legislature to meet public expenditure and such other accounts as may be referred to the committee by the House or under any law, and the reports of Auditor General on the accounts. So the work of the PAC is in respect of the accounts. This committee is a committee that deals with ethics. So one report may generate a number of issues. So while the House is deliberating on the report in respect of the accounts, there are issues that may arise that impact the work of the Ethics Committee. So I think that also we may have to be clear on. So far, the belief is that it is only the PAC that deals with reports of the Auditor General, but on a proper reading of the standing orders, that is a restricted and interpretation of the work of the committee. Because if a report raises ethical issues which fall within the remit of the Ethics Committee's duty, then the committee can't say, I can't deal with it because it's before another committee. We wouldn't be looking at the report in respect of the accounts and appropriations of sums granted, but in respect of the ethical side. So we may have to also look at how we navigate the paths.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm taking it with the Public Accounts Committee. Usually you're asking the agencies or ministries to come in and interrogate them, answer questions. The Ethics Committee then would ask the person. I'm asking for guidance as how then will we, deal with this matter of the Ethics Committee. Who will we then ask to come in to interrogate and to investigate on any matter of conflict of interest, etc.?
I think it would be restricted to the member who is implicated. I don't think it would go as far. Of course, investigations, if you're embarking on an investigation, you may have to interrogate other people, but at the end of the day, it is the conduct or misconduct of a member that we're focusing on. And so So all of the terms of reference relate to members receiving, investigating, and reporting on any complaints of departure by members from the political code of conduct. Secondly, requiring a member to make full disclosure of any interest which he may have, which is likely to cause a conflict of interest. Thirdly, receiving, investigating, and reporting on any complaint of departures by members in relation to allegations involving conflicts of interest. Fourthly, examining requests made by any member to exempt him, etc. Fifthly, receiving, investigating, and reporting on any allegations of impropriety in respect of funds allocated to members for constituency purpose. Sixthly, monitoring reports emanating from the Integrity Commission in respect of non-compliance of members. And then lastly, receiving and investigating any reports of civil or criminal proceedings being instituted against any member. So there lies the distinction. The focus is on the member. In order to determine what recommendations ought to be made, it may be necessary to expand beyond, but the focus is really on the conduct of the member and how the matters impact that member or members in question. All right, I crave members' indulgence. I'm just discussing some procedural matters with the clerk. Right, members. Yes. So we are now going to see what it is that we are going to be reporting to the House on out of this meeting, what it is that we require some research to be done on, and what we will do for our next meeting. All right. So the first.
Okay, so we're just saying then, so the research will take place, and then we do the report afterwards.
All right. So is there any other matter on the matters listed for discussion that members would wish to raise? Arising from this discussion, we need to decide what it is that we will report to the House on out of this meeting, and what it is that we will require some assistance from the supporting staff on research. So by way of recap, my understanding is that we would report to the House that the accuracy of information provided to the committee by one member has been called into question in light of information that has been made public subsequently. Yes, members? Yes? And then the committee would want to deliberate on whether that has any impact on the decision that was taken by the House to exempt the member. And this would require us to hear from that member directly, so that we would be utilizing the provisions of the standing order to require that member to appear before us in the committee, at the next sitting of the committee. Yes, so say all of us? Right. The second matter that we would be reporting to the House on would be the status of codes of conduct, where we are in respect of the signing by members of the code of conduct. Thirdly, it would be the requiring members to disclose any interest which he may have, which is likely to cause a conflict of interest. A related matter to this is that we would invite the supporting staff to assist us with some comparative research and analysis on how the information disclosed is kept and how registers are established and maintained. Yes, members? The other matter is to bring to the House's attention that the standing order needs to be updated to reflect the repeal of the Parliament Integrity of Members Act by the Integrity Commission Act, and for that act to be substituted in the term of reference of the committee. And I think this underscores the need for more timely action to be taken to update the laws. Once consequential amendments is what we call them. Right? So the update of Standing Order 73EF. And in respect of the reports on civil and criminal proceedings, we would further discuss that matter on how we would proceed with the reporting by members on matters, time that the report should be made to the committee, to the Parliament through the committee. All right. So we are on to any other business. I was just discussing with the clerk that the requirements of the standing orders for time would have to be complied with if we will have the member in question who is I'm in a little bit of a dilemma now. How do we put on record which member that we're speaking of? But I don't think that there is any secret. That would be the member. So this is a member from St. Andrew East Central. All right. So the procedural requirements to be complied with, to have that member before us at the next meeting of the Ethics Committee to get clarification on the matter arising and the implication for what was considered in the report that was sent from the committee to the House. Member Cuthbert?
Does that mean then we've been acting outside of the fact that we're able to bring persons in for, as far as the exemption the last meeting? Are we then contradicting what we should be doing, or I'm not sure. I need some clarification, since we're now going to be awaiting the standing order, the update of the standing order. No? Not in respect of.
No, not in respect of that matter. So we had a matter arising in relation to the accuracy of information provided by the committee, which has an impact on the report of the committee to the House and the action taken by the House. So we need to clarify that. That is a separate matter from the update of Standing Order 73EF to delete the reference to the repealed legislation and to substitute the new legislation. Two separate matters. Yes. So the date. So my closing remarks really relate to the work that is ahead of us and the clarification that we need. And to say that at all times, as an ethics committee, we ourselves have to deliberate fairly, and we have to mind our own conduct. So this may provide us with an opportunity to check ourselves, because there is none righteous, no, not one. But the people of Jamaica are depending on us, to do right by them, and also to uphold the laws in accordance with the oath that we have taken. Parliamentarians sit in a very special place, and we have to do all we can to repair the breach and be exemplars. Right? It's about redeeming the future, not avenging the past. So the date of our next meeting? Tuesday, April 21 at 10 a.m.
I'm saying for that date, Madam, I will not be available, so I'm just tendering my apologies of absence from now.
If we second that date.
Sitting of Parliament for that day?
No.
I see. So we will register the advance apology from Member Lee. All right. I think, unless there is any other matter, this takes us to the end of our meeting. Will someone move for the adjournment? 12:17. Meeting is adjourned.